Knicks, the New York Knicks, get Giannis in 2021? Because they signed everyone to 2-year deals, so...
Yeah, just like they were gonna get fucking Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard, sure.
Yeah, that's like, dude.
How many times are the Knicks and Knicks fans just gonna bet all of their fucking chips on free agency? How long can you do that before you just figure out that it's not gonna fucking work? Giannis Antetokounmpo is one of the best players in the NBA. I might have jumped the gun a little bit saying that he's the best player in the NBA, but he is certainly up there. The Bucks lost in the Eastern Conference Finals in 6 games to the eventual NBA champion Toronto Raptors. Rest in peace to that team. And in this offseason, the Milwaukee Bucks re-signed Chris Middleton to a max contract. Yikes. They re-signed Brook Lopez, which was fine, but they had to let Malcolm Brogdon walk because they had previously signed Eric Bledsoe to $17 million a year. Big yikes. The reason that they gave Chris Middleton all the money that they did is because they wanted some insurance that they could keep Giannis in 2021. But I'm not so sure that that will be the result. What I think very well could be possible is Giannis is looking at the Bucks roster in 2021, sees that Chris Middleton is being massively overpaid, and as a result, sees that there is no way that the Bucks can land another star, and he decides to leave. This Bucks team has hit its peak in my opinion. I'm not saying they can't make the finals or even win a championship, because they certainly can. They were and still are a contender. But this team really probably isn't going to get a lot better outside of Giannis. So as a result, I could very well see Giannis leaving the Milwaukee Bucks in the 2021 offseason. Now, I originally planned to make this video exclusively about the Chicago Bulls, but knowing how YouTube comment sections work, I know that even if I said in the video that there were other options outside of the Bulls, there would still be dumbasses in the comments accusing me of being way too biased. So, to avoid those comments, I decided to make this video about Giannis's free agency in general. So we're going to go over all of the options for Giannis, including the Bulls.
Rebound. Save. Absolutely incredibly with the acrobatic alley-oop.
Before we start this video, I wanted to quickly promote my podcast. Me and Mojo99 have started a podcast called the Hoopscast, where we talk all things NBA. Our latest episode was a free agency Q&A as well as a reaction to Kawhi and Paul George going to the Clippers. So if you would like to hear my thoughts on the NBA in a less scripted manner, please be sure to check out the podcast. The link will be in the description and in the card above. Let's get on with the video. So there are a couple of teams that I think Giannis would fit well on, but first we need to explain some of the criteria for Giannis's fit. If you're a team trying to get Giannis, you need a few things. You need, obviously, one is shooting. You need a perimeter star or two, and preferably that star player can play make. If they can't, then you need to get a playmaker. And four, I can't. And four, fucking hell. And 4, defense. Giannis is a phenomenal defensive player. I would argue one of the best defenders of all time, and especially the most versatile defender of all time, but he's not a one-man show. No one is. So teams with shooting, defense, a star or two, and some playmaking, as well as obviously some cap space for the 2021 offseason, qualify. So with that said, here are the teams: the Dallas Mavericks, the Portland Trailblazers, the Indiana Pacers, the Chicago Bulls, and obviously the Milwaukee Bucks. So we're going to be ranking these teams worst to best in terms of their fit with Giannis. What also should be said is there is plenty of things that could change over the next 2 years. Maybe a team frees up cap space, a player breaks out on one team or another, a big trade happens. There's a lot of factors that can change over the next 2 years, but as of right now, these are the teams that I think have the potential to get Giannis and that he is the best fit with. So let's start with the Indiana Pacers. By 2021, the Pacers would only have $30 million on their books. Part of that is because Victor Oladipo will be a free agent, but you can sign Oladipo to a max while bringing in Giannis with a max. You would have a starting lineup of Malcolm Brogdon, Victor Oladipo, TJ Warren, Giannis, and Miles Turner. Everyone outside of Giannis is a pretty good shooter. Brogdon shot 40% from 3 this year. Oladipo isn't the highest percentage 3-point shooter, but that's because he takes a lot of them off of the dribble and contested. TJ Warren shot 43% from 3 on 4.5 attempts per game this year. And Miles Turner shot 39% from 3 last year. Fantastic shooting, and on the defensive side, TJ Warren is the only liability. Miles led the league in blocks last year. Oladipo is an elite perimeter defender. Brogdon is a good one. TJ is a liability, like I said, but you can live with it. When it comes to playmaking, it is not great, but also not awful. Oladipo averaged 5 assists per game last year, 4 the season prior, and Brogdon is a 3 assists per game guy. It can work. I don't think it's a bad option. As a matter of fact, I don't feel any of these teams are bad options. But the reason they come last is simply because they only have one star player. Unless Brogdon or Miles Turner break out, which I don't think will happen, but it is possible. If that's the case, it's just Oladipo and some very good quality players that are not quite star level. But Oladipo and Giannis with all that spacing on offense would be very deadly, and defensively, I would not want to be the player that has to go up against Giannis and Miles Turner in the paint, with Oladipo and Brogdon defending the perimeter on top of that. Next we have the Portland Trailblazers. It's a little complicated with this team because the money could be tight. Both CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard become free agents in the 2021 offseason, so you would have to sign those two and Giannis, or just Damian Lillard and then Giannis, and I think the latter of those two is what will happen. I don't think I have to tell you that Giannis and Dame would be great. I think that's kinda obvious. Lillard isn't the greatest passer in the world, but he's certainly solid, and defensively, Jusuf Nurkic is a solid defensive player, and with the extra cap space from not bringing back CJ, you could sign some more defense and shooting. However, I do not really like the fit of Nurkic with Giannis on the offensive side of the court. I would put the Pacers over the Blazers for having a more established defense, but I personally feel that the duo of Dame and Giannis would be a lot better than the duo of Victor and Giannis, specifically because, well, Damian Lillard is a lot better than Victor Oladipo, and I'm also personally very afraid that Oladipo's first All-Star season will be his last, and it will really have just been a one-hit wonder. I love Oladipo, so I really don't want it to happen, and so you can't really get all up in your feelings saying that I'm just a hater, because one, that's one of the weakest arguments you could possibly have, looking at you Westbrook fans, and two, I like the guy, so it'd be weird for me to hate on him. I'm just genuinely afraid that might be the case. Next, we have the Milwaukee Bucks. They are the third best option if I'm being nice, because the team outside of Giannis is just painfully average. Chris Middleton is not worth $38 million a year. I don't know that he's worth more than 25, even if it's 25. And that's no hate on Chris Middleton. I'm a fan of his, but dude is below Jimmy Butler tier, and I didn't think Jimmy Butler was worth a max contract. Middleton is a solid 18 to 20 point per game scorer who is good defensively, can create his own shot from time to time, and spaces the floor. That is no doubt a valuable player, but max contract valuable? Not even close. The Bucks have $60 million tied up in Eric Bledsoe, Chris Middleton, and Brook Lopez. Then you'd have to bring back Giannis on a supermax, which by 2021 will probably be like $460 trillion, somewhere in that ballpark. There will not be a whole lot of cap space left to bring in another star. They could maybe make it happen if the Bucks don't bring in any contracts that don't expire in 2021, but the likelihood of that is minimal. Basically, the Bucks are stuck with what they have. So if they cannot win a championship within the next 2 seasons, I think there is a high likelihood that Giannis at least considers leaving. And please spare me with the comments that are going to say, oh well, Giannis has said that he wants to stay in Milwaukee. Dude, Kyrie said he wanted to stay in Boston. He even said that he was never going to leave the Cavs. Anthony Davis said he wanted to stay in New Orleans. That's just not how this works. A player saying he wants to stay with the team that he is on does not mean shit until they put their money where their mouth is. The only players to have done that is Damian Lillard and would have been Kemba Walker if Michael Jordan wasn't a cheap fuck. Now, I'm inclined to believe Giannis saying that because his character in the past has been pretty upfront, but a lot can change in 2 years. Hell, a lot happened in one with Kyrie Irving. Now we have 2 teams left, and I really can't decide which one is the better option. We have the Chicago Bulls and the Dallas Mavericks. Now, obviously, we all know what team I want Giannis to go to. My favorite player on my favorite team would be pretty dope. But let me just say, in regards to my evaluation of the Chicago Bulls, I am the Bulls' is that right? Doesn't sound right. I am the Bulls' harshest critic. I am a fan of the team, so I want them to be good, and as a result, when they are not good, I can fucking tell. I'm not blind to the talent on this team. If I had to make a comparison for Zach Lavine, it would be a more athletic CJ McCollum. If I had one for Lowry, it would be LaMarcus Aldridge, except if LA was a 3-point shooter rather than a mid-range guy. For Wendell Carter, I think Al Horford is fair. I'm not insane. I'm not saying these dudes are going to be superstars. I know what their strengths and weaknesses are, and I evaluate them from there. You can call me biased for feeling the ways that I do simply because I'm a Bulls fan, and I would understand that logic, but I know that I am not. But with that said, I want to end with the Chicago Bulls, so let's go with the Dallas Mavericks. Between the Dallas Mavericks and the Bulls, the Mavericks have the best player. And that is obviously Luka Doncic. I can't properly express how wrong I was about Luka. Just look at this tweet. So if you want to comment on this video that I don't know what I'm talking about, you're probably right. But Luka has future MVP potential. His defense and IQ at his age with his size is phenomenal, and the sky is the limit for him, especially if he slims down. Not that I'm judging Luka. I'm trying to slim down too. We'll get there, bro. Outside of Luka, there is Kristaps Porzingis, who they signed to a max contract, which, if he comes back and isn't the same after his ACL tear, that's a bit of a yikes. But luckily, ACL tears don't seem to be as career-ruining as they used to be. The Mavericks only have about $50 million committed past 2021. They would have even more if they didn't pick up Justin Jackson's team option, which is very possible. That's enough to bring in Giannis and a couple of solid role players. I think a duo of Giannis and Doncic would be very deadly. Doncic is a good shooter, a smart player, and a great playmaker. Average defensive player. And talking about defense, Giannis and Porzingis would have the paint locked down. Both are great shot blockers. Giannis can also make up for Porzingis' rebounding issues. And the one guy who would still be on the team for sure, unless traded over the next 2 years, is Jalen Brunson, who I think can become a George Hill type of player. Rick Carlisle is also a great head coach. So that is the Mavs. Let's end with the Chicago Bulls. Otto Porter Jr. would be off of his contract by 2021. And outside of that, Lauri Markkanen, Wendell Carter, and Kobe White will all be on their rookie contracts still. And Thomas Satoransky as well as Thaddeus Young have non-guaranteed third years on their contracts. Either way, they would only have about $60 million committed, and that would free them up enough cap space to bring in Giannis. And if they didn't guarantee the second halves of Sato and Thad's contract, it would be more like $50 million, and with that, they could bring back Otto Porter Jr. to a contract that he is actually worth, which would be like $15 million a year, to be a fantastic backup wing, as well as someone who can slide in when Giannis slides down to the 4. But let's talk about the fit. The Bulls check off all but one box, and they kind of check that last box. The Bulls have elite shooting. Kobe White, I think, will be an average shooter. Lavine is a great shooter. Lauri is a great shooter. Otto Porter Jr., if they bring him back, is one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. I think Wendell has potential to be a good shooter as well. So we have 4 projected starters all being good three-point shooters, with 2 of them being great three-point shooters, with a great three-point shooter potentially coming off of the bench. Defense is the issue. Wendell, I think, can be a phenomenal defender, even a defensive player of the year level defender in the future. And him and Giannis combined would really lock up the paint. But on the perimeter, I think Kobe White could become a good defensive player. He has shown flashes of, at the very least, caring about defense in the summer league. Being his size at point guard and actually caring is enough to be a good defender. Zach is bad defensively. I think Lowry can become an adequate defensive player, but no more than that. But with the height of this team, I think it can make up for some lack of skill and motivation. 2 6'5" guards, a 7-foot small forward, 7-foot power forward, and 6'10" center. It's going to be hard for opposing teams to just walk around the court with all of that size. And another issue that comes with this is that Giannis would have to play small forward on that team. I think in the modern NBA he's really suited as a power forward, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. And in terms of star power, Zach Lavine just averaged 24 points per game on good shooting splits. Lowry just averaged 19 points per game in his second season. Both have all-star potential. I think Zach can be one next year, Lowry the year after. Wendell I think can be an Al Horford-like player, so fringe all-star, maybe not quite, especially because his passing isn't nearly on Al Horford's level. But either way, this team has the stars, the shooting, and kind of the defense. And in terms of playmaking, Kobe White and Zach Lavine are gonna both be like 4 to 5 assists per game players, which kind of works. I cannot put them over the Mavericks simply because Luka and Porzingis is a good bit better than Zach and Lowry. But those are the teams that I think Giannis could potentially sign with in the 2021 offseason. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to check out the Hoops Cast, like and subscribe, and cue the outro music.